Yeah, Mitch is looking unlikely. We haven't made the call just yet, but the news that we have to this point in time doesn't sound great. So right at the moment we're probably working towards a recovery or a rehab program that gets him going in a week or two, but he's unlikely for this week.
Is it a calf?
Yeah, it's a calf. Yeah. Not serious, they're telling us, but they can't definitively say that it's only going to be a 1 weeker. Although they haven't said he's absolutely out this week, they've said he's unlikely, but it's not on the serious end of the scale. Yeah, Reece is a bit the opposite. We're expecting him to play. Yeah, and if he misses, it would only be a week. Well, historically we're used to it, so that's the glass half full answer. Walker's been doing some ruck work at AFL level and VFL level as well, and he'd be an option for us as well. But it's quite rare that you lose both of your ruckmen in a game. We're hopeful we'll have at least one of them next week. But if we lose both of them for this week, that's, I guess, the positive is that we've been in this position before with no ruckman available. Simpson won't be available again. McIntosh is unavailable. We've got a couple of rookies who won't play either, so we are probably looking at Walker and Blitzarves with the other 4 ruckmen injured. Those parts were, because the numbers were so glaring that it was clearly a problem in the game. So depending on which way you look at it, did we get smashed in the inside 50s because we got smashed in the contested ball and the stoppages? Probably. But the positive thing, they had a lot of scoring shots, but particularly in the first half, it didn't appear to me that they were all gimmies. They missed some shots from very hard angles. And conversely, we didn't get a whole lot of opportunities, but we blew the ones that we got. So quite possibly we could have been in a much better position than we were at half-time. But over the course of the game, particularly in the second half, those numbers just really counted against us. Yeah, it is important. I mean, it's not right to say that it's just another game. But when you tend to be midway through the season and in the middle part of the ladder, every game does become crucial for you. So if you can take a game away from teams that are near you on the ladder and get one yourself, it does make a big difference. So yeah, I think that part's pretty obvious. Now for us, we don't go into a game saying, okay, we've really got to get everything right this week because it's an important game. I think our supporters and people around the football club would expect that that's our approach every week. Yeah, Motts is really clear on that. In fact, he's volunteered it this week. He had a close look at his game and volunteered that he was really disappointed with his work off the ball. So not even the stuff that you would have seen on the TV broadcast. But yeah, particularly, he's got the potential to be a very, very good defensive player. And right at the moment, by his own admission, he's not that. So that's the challenge for him. We think that, in general, through the course of this season, our pressure has been pretty good. The numbers show that we are good in that respect. Now, how important that measure is for success is probably in question. But if we knew exactly why we get less than perfect performances for our players, we'd fix them straight away. These things tend to be pretty complex, and we've got some theories around it, most of which we don't air publicly. But I think if you look further than just Steve as the individual and look at our team across the season, we'd like to be better, but the numbers show we're actually reasonable, so it's not a disaster for us. Yes, yeah, there's a good chance. We keep bringing up the same names, but excuse me, College Asney and Luxford will be in our squad this week. Whether they make the final 22, we still need to work a little bit on that, but those guys are very strong chances to play. So Luxford was a travelling emergency last week, but that won't limit. In fact, it might help his chances of playing. And College Asney played very well in the VFL, so the signs are good. Yeah, our team struggled a little bit. We didn't think that Lang and Gregson were the problem. We've got a bye coming up relatively shortly. We've got a couple of 6-day breaks and then a long break into the Melbourne game and then the bye. So there are some opportunities to download those guys a little bit. So I don't think right at the moment we're thinking about them not playing. Well, he's an interesting case study. I think if it weren't for Mark Blitzarves, we'd be talking about how remarkable it is. But you can't keep talking about these unique situations when you keep rolling them out. Mick didn't play much football at all, if any, through his high school basketball career, but was an outstanding, a national level basketballer who decided to give footy a chance before he pursued the basketball overseas. So he came in with a very similar attitude to that of Mark Blitzarves, which was if it was to work, he needed to learn as much as he could about the game and fully immerse himself in the AFL and Geelong culture, which he's done. So 12 months ago I would have said it's very unlikely that he was going to be pushing for AFL selection, but here we are again. So I think it's a tick for our academy coaches and the program that they run. But even more so, it's just fantastic recognition of what Mick has been able to do in a short period of time. It's alike. If you get players who have really ingrained positive habits and understanding and feel for the game, they can be easy to coach. It's very hard to coach instinct. But to be fair, with Mickey Luxford, his instincts for AFL footy are very good, partly because of the experience he's had as a basketballer. There are obvious parts that he needed to learn, and we're going to take a little bit of time to grasp. But yeah, in terms of coaching them, sometimes it's nice to have a bit of a clean slate. Yeah, and you can start from the beginning. Yeah, I don't talk too much publicly about opposition coaches, and especially opposition coaches that are my twin brother. But it didn't seem to hurt the Hawks too much last year. No, I think it's a subtle change. That's the most important part. It's not as if they've done a full 180, which they were really clear on not wanting to do. And I think the shift is probably a sensible one. I don't think there's many people in football that don't think that players have been putting themselves in harm's way in order to draw free kicks. So the logical thing in my mind is to discourage that by not rewarding them for that sort of behaviour. Previously, they said if you drive your head into a stationary player, you don't get protection for that. And now my understanding is they're just being a little bit stronger with that. Certainly not saying if you drive your head into a player looking for high contact, a free kick will be paid against you. But if you do that, trying to evade the tackle and maybe draw a free kick, and you get tackled high and don't get rid of it, then it will be holding the ball. And I think that sits very comfortably with me. Just make it clear what the rules are. As a coaching group, we think that's our obligation. We don't spend too much time coaching the mechanics of drawing the free kick. We spend a fair bit of time talking about how to avoid giving away those free kicks and which players are skilled at that sort of situation. But far and away, the most important thing is that all our players have a clear understanding of what the umpires are thinking. So the cues are pretty clear. If you go from normal height and put your head down, you get no protection. If you go low at the ball and lower your knees, and you get a high tackle, that's going to be paid. So we think our players are pretty clear. Unfortunately, and the numbers reflect that we're very poor in terms of free kick differential, that we're not doing it well enough. So I think while we are clear on what the rules are, we need to do a better job of coaching our players to play within the rules.